Welcome to our channel. In this video, we will discuss Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's admission of military support to Israel, which sparked widespread controversy in the Italian parliament. We will examine how Israeli military aircraft landed at Rome's airports, despite the Italian government's claims of neutrality. We will also address the criticisms leveled by MPs at Meloni, and how this support contradicts Italy's official position. We must protect the civilian population. Italy supports an immediate ceasefire, said Giorgia Meloni. This is what Giorgia Meloni is telling the world. Resonant words about peace, civilian protection, and neutrality. But away from the spotlight, during the war on Gaza, Italian airports seemed to be telling a very different story. A story of alleged logistical and military support for Israel, which sparked a storm of anger in Italy and abroad. In this video, we reveal the stark contrast between the words of the Italian Prime Minister and her actions, between the humanitarian face she presents to the world and the military alliances operating in the shadows. To understand the magnitude of the contradiction, let us first listen to the official narrative of the Meloni government. Since the beginning of the war, she and her foreign minister Antonio Tajani have been keen to present Italy as a peace broker and a humanitarian force dedicated to alleviating the suffering of civilians in Gaza. We've heard her say it time and time again. At the Cairo Peace Summit, Meloni called on the international community to develop a roadmap for a two-state solution. In the Italian parliament, she emphasized the need to protect civilians and even publicly opposed Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's rejection of such a solution. But words weren't the only tool. Italy also took action on the ground, proudly announcing an initiative to transport 100 wounded Palestinian children from Gaza for treatment in its hospitals. These children were evacuated aboard Italian military ships and aircraft, in a humanitarian gesture that received widespread media coverage. On the military front, the official position was more assertive. The Italian government announced a suspension of all new arms export licenses to Israel. Meloni even asserted that the Italian ban was the strictest in Europe. This is the image Rome sought to project to the world. A state that stood equitably apart from everyone, led humanitarian efforts, and imposed strict restrictions on arms exports. A beautiful image, but it's not the whole story. Cracks in the official narrative began to appear with press reports and human rights organizations speaking of unusual air traffic at Italian air bases. Then came the bombshell dropped by MP Angelo Bonelli, who confronted Meloni in parliament with direct figures, accusations that Israeli military aircraft had repeatedly used Italian airports since October 7 to obtain logistical and operational support. The figure circulated was shocking. At least 18 Israeli military aircraft landed in Italy and received support while the war on Gaza was in full swing. This allegation, which Bonelli described as hypocrisy and complicity, put Meloni in a difficult position. What does logistical support mean? In the world of international politics, it's a loose term. Is it merely refueling? Or does it include maintenance, equipping, and loading of potentially military equipment? The government has remained silent and has not provided details, merely stating that it is not directly sending weapons. But for the opposition and activists, simply allowing warplanes belonging to an army waging war to use Italian airspace and airports constitutes military support by any measure. The question became urgent. How could a government that claims to have stopped everything allow the passage and preparation of aircraft belonging to one of the parties to the conflict? This question opened the door to something deeper. When we delve deeper, we discover that the relationship between Italy and Israel is not just a matter of political statements, but rather a strategic, military, and economic relationship that has been firmly established for decades. One of its pillars is a military cooperation agreement, first signed in 2005, which includes the exchange of intelligence, technology, and joint training. These agreements, which are quietly renewed periodically, have created the infrastructure that allows for this level of coordination. But the story doesn't stop with governments, it extends to giant corporations. Despite the announcement of a moratorium on new arms export licenses, Defense Minister Guido Crosetto admitted that arms shipments continued to flow to Israel. What's the official justification? These shipments are to fulfill pre-signed orders before October 2023. According to the minister, each shipment is inspected to ensure it won't be used against civilians, but how can that be guaranteed in the midst of an all-out war? This justification hasn't convinced many. Data from Italy's National Statistical Office revealed that in the last 3 months of 2023 alone, Italy exported €2.1 million worth of weapons and ammunition to Israel. These figures, which appear to contradict the rhetoric of the ban, demonstrate how old trade commitments can override new policy decisions. And there's more. Leonardo, the Italian defense giant, has found itself at the center of the storm. Press reports have revealed that the company continues to support Israel's fleet of M346 advanced trainer aircraft, on which pilots are trained before flying fighter jets. This support includes technical assistance, equipment repairs, and spare parts. These activities sparked outrage among students and activists in Italy, who stormed the company's headquarters in Turin and raised Palestinian flags, accusing the company of complicity in the war. It's a symbolic image of the conflict between powerful economic interests and moral responsibility. This revelation of ongoing support, whether logistical via airports or commercial over decades, has placed Meloni's government under immense pressure. Domestically, opposition voices have grown louder, with strikes and massive demonstrations organized to protest what unions describe as support for Israel's genocidal government. On the other hand, segments of Italy's Jewish community and public figures have expressed their dismay at these protests, believing they reflect hatred toward Israel and fuel antisemitism. This division reflects the extreme polarization this issue has created within Italian society. On the international stage, Meloni finds herself walking a tightrope. She wants to maintain the strong strategic alliance with Israel, a cornerstone of her policy. At the same time, she cannot ignore shifting global public opinion, with even Israel's traditional allies beginning to express concern. In a remarkable statement, Meloni herself said that Israel's response greatly exceeded the principle of proportionality. This statement, along with her calls for a ceasefire and humanitarian initiatives, can be interpreted as an attempt to balance the parties in a nearly impossible political equation. It provides humanitarian aid to the Palestinians with one hand, while facilitating logistical support for the Israeli military with the other. It publicly calls for a ceasefire, while its companies continue to fulfill military contracts behind the scenes. This is political duplicity at its most blatant, as declared principles conflict with entrenched interests. The story of Giorgia Meloni and Italy is not just an accusation of hypocrisy. It is a window into how the lines between neutrality and complicity, between humanitarian aid and military support, are often blurred in the world of international politics. We have seen how official statements about peace and a halt to arms exports clash with the reality of strategic alliances, pre-signed commercial contracts, and quietly executed logistical commitments. Officially, Italy presents itself as a dove of peace, but evidence suggests it also provides support for warplanes. This contradiction is at the heart of the crisis facing Meloni today. A credibility crisis that raises a global question. In the world of politics, is what is said publicly more important than what happens behind the scenes? And can a country truly be neutral while bound by deep military and economic alliances that span decades? If you like the video, don't forget to like and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your opinions, so leave your comments below. What's your stance on this duality in international politics? Do you believe that interests always trump principles? Remember, the more you interact with the video, the more you'll help us deliver even better content. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more surprises.